was another edition of WWE Television live from the UK here tonight, of course, from the O2 Arena in London, England, because, of course, we were live here tonight for Smackdown Live, and this entire show, once again, was built around Money in the Bank, with the main event being a very questionable one between Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles being given away on free television in order to determine a stipulation for a matchup at the pay-per-view of Money in the Bank that they will have over the WWE Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joel Perez of the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, right here for your Tuesday, May 15th edition of Smackdown Live. And of course, we're going to be talking everything on this show here tonight. And I mean Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live. As far as quality goes, Smackdown Live is always going to have the edge over Monday Night Raw, and it's simply because of the fact that this show is 2 hours. But as far as giving us the same cringe-worthy, illogical, lazy television goes, these shows are in the exact same league, and we've got a lot of rants to go on. And the biggest rant we're going to go on here today is exactly that. Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles being given away on free television. You know what? Let's jump right into this. Screw the intros. Let's talk about this. Because this is exactly these inept decisions that are being made that make absolutely zero sense and just leave you scratching your head as a WWE fan. And quite frankly, any business person looking at this, you're scratching your head, because how many goddamn times are they going to give us Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles? I think it's clearly been determined that this is a valuable matchup. There's a lot of story in this matchup. It's for the most valuable prize in the industry. It's between two of the best wrestlers in the industry, and it's a big feud. Yet WWE continues to throw this match out there left and right at each and every single corner, when realistically we shouldn't be seeing this matchup that much. We should have seen a classic at WrestleMania, and it seems like WWE is holding these guys back for a big blowout match at whatever it may be. They're giving us these screwy finishes that make absolutely zero sense, and they're throwing this matchup at us at whatever opportunity they get. Realistically, if you wanted to go down the route where Nakamura turned heel and AJ Styles keeps the WWE Championship, then we should have seen this matchup at WrestleMania, a rematch at the Greatest Royal Rumble. You skip Backlash, because there's no reason that we need to be seeing Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then a week and a half later, at a meaningless pay-per-view, we need to be seeing AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, that was unnecessary. So we should have seen it at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and the next time we're seeing this matchup should be the rematch at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Simple booking makes sense. You only need one screwy finish, and you build from there. At the Greatest Royal Rumble finish, you build from there towards Money in the Bank. There's no reason we needed to see this matchup at the Greatest Royal Rumble, then Backlash less than a week and a half later, and then not even 2 weeks removed from Backlash, we're seeing this matchup again on SmackDown Live to determine a stipulation. And this is where it gets illogical, not just because of the fact that you're giving this matchup away on free television, because at this point we've seen this matchup so many goddamn times, it doesn't matter. And that's an argument in and of itself, how this matchup is being watered down. And now, instead of gluing my eyes to the television, I found myself a little bit like looking away until, of course, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura started doing what AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura do, and that is putting on a great professional wrestling matchup, which they did here tonight. But as far as this matchup goes, this is illogical, because why are they deciding a stipulation? You break this down. Why are they deciding a stipulation for this matchup? And it's because this matchup does not have every time these two guys step into the ring with each other, there is not a decisive winner. So if you're going into this with the mindset that if you're putting these two guys in a one-on-one matchup, there's not going to be a decisive winner, then why are you putting them in a one-on-one matchup to determine that stipulation that will prevent there from being an indecisive finish? What sense does that make, if you're even with me at this point? Because that's complicated, I know, but if you break it down, what sense does it make to have a stipulation determined by having a matchup between the two guys to determine what the stipulation is, when literally the reason that the stipulation is being applied is because these two guys, whenever they step in the ring against each other, it ends in a double count out and it ends in disqualification. So that just absolutely blew my mind in and of itself right there, as complicated as that sounds. It's truly illogical. But on top of that, you have the fact that this is being watered down. And you have the fact that this matchup is being given away. This is a money matchup. This is a draw. This is going to get people to say, well, I want to see AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura again. I better tune into Money in the Bank. Now people are going to say, well, I've seen it so many goddamn times. We saw it at WrestleMania. We saw it at Greatest Royal Rumble. We saw it at Backlash. We saw it at Smackdown Live. So why the hell do I need to tune into Money in the Bank? We've seen the matchup already. Nothing special there. Or at least it's going to have people going into the matchup less hyped. And quite frankly, it not only waters down the matches, it completely takes down the feud with it. Because the heel turn of Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to be a help to this feud. It was supposed to help the feud. Instead, just putting these guys in the ring, it seems like WWE, once again, is coming up with these lazy outs because they can't write storyline. And it not only can they not write storyline for this feud alone, they can't write storyline for the rest of SmackDown Live. So they have to depend on putting a matchup like this on SmackDown Live to boost the quality of the show, because they know if they don't put on a killer matchup like this on this show, everybody's going to be coming out of this show on SmackDown Live saying, well, that show was a real piss waste of time. That's what people are going to be walking out of this show thinking otherwise, because besides the quality of the AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura matchup and that opening segment we saw with Daniel Bryan and Big Cass, holy crap, the rest of this show was a piss absolute waste of time. So that's the mentality behind WWE right there, which there's not a lot of mentality, because you're not thinking. You are not thinking. So, that's WWE for you, and that was what we had to deal with. That was the major issue here with the main event of SmackDown Live. But believe me, besides that little rant right there was a lot more on this show to piss and rant about. There's also some things to celebrate, and that was not the celebration that we saw here tonight. That's something we're going to piss on. But it was the debut of El Idolo Andrade Cien Almas here tonight on SmackDown Live. We're going to talk the debut of Andrade Cien Almas. He's going to be the hottest thing on SmackDown Live, I hope, if WWE books him correctly, especially with Zelina Vega by his side. That is an iconic duo. Speaking of the Iconics, next week they did announce it would be Lana versus Billie Kay. That sounds like a terrible matchup, but that's something we'll get into later. We saw Daniel Bryan brutally attack Big Cass. It was a great way to make Daniel Bryan look like a badass coming out of that loss from Rusev last week. We saw a triple threat between Becky Lynch and the two remaining members of Absolution, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, qualify for Money in the Bank. We also saw, I believe, another Money in the Bank qualifying matchup for SmackDown Live here tonight. What was it? It slips my mind, but we saw another. Oh yeah, it was the tag team matchup between Cesaro, Sheamus, and The New Day. That was a pretty decent matchup here tonight on SmackDown Live. And of course, like I mentioned, the celebration. So there were a lot of things going on this show, and the time passed rather quickly since it is only a 2-hour show. It's a lot better than the 3 hours of monotonous garbage that we have to endure each and every single week with Monday Night Raw. But again, it's the same illogical corniness, the just over scripting, over commercials, just throwaway matches. I mean, everything doesn't make sense type of show. It's a WWE show in 2018 besides NXT, and that is a sad state of affairs. But you know what's not a sad state of affairs? It is the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So of course, make sure to go check out all of the content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. We're back on a normal flow this week on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Behind the Mic was uploaded yesterday, Monday morning. Behind the Mic was uploaded. That was episode number 63. That was a great episode of Behind the Mic. Make sure to go check it out. A lot of stuff we were talking about on there. We were talking CM Punk returning in a wrestling affiliated role. We were talking about the Roman Reigns initiative. Is it over or has it just begun? From the looks of what we saw on Monday Night Raw last night, it's just begun. But of course, speaking of Monday Night Raw, the Monday Night Raw review was uploaded last night, so make sure to go check that out. Great Monday Night Raw review, no doubt about it. It was the main news story on there coming out of Monday Night Raw. Ronda Rousey challenging for the Raw Women's Championship, and speaking the parallel of that on SmackDown Live, we now know after the Melibration segment who is going to be challenging the SmackDown Women's Champion for her title. Of course, that being Carmella, and we're going to talk about that as well here tonight. But of course, make sure to go check out all the other content, as well as to like this video if you enjoy what you're hearing here. Dislike if you don't. Make sure to comment what you thought of SmackDown Live here tonight. Of course, leave all your thoughts in the enlightenment box down below. Of course, tell me everything you're thinking. Did you think SmackDown Live was a good show here tonight? Decent? Passable? Did you think it was a bad show? What were some things you liked? What were some things you didn't like? What are you thinking going into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view? Who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank? All these interesting questions. Do you like me? Do you don't? Leave it all in the enlightenment box down below, like I like to call it. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. And the reason I say that is because there is, of course, everything regarding the WWE right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So you're getting so much when you subscribe. Of course, pay-per-view reviews, Monday Night Raw reviews, SmackDown Live reviews, pay-per-view reviews, pay-per-view preview and predictions, of course, and breaking news stories each and every single week, as well as Behind the Mic for your weekends right there. So a lot of content coming into the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. No better time to subscribe than now. Going into the summer months, content's definitely going to be ramping up right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So make sure to not miss a thing. Click on that subscribe button. Click on that notification bell to get those notifications straight to your mobile device. And of course, make sure to go and support everything affiliated to Ringside Wrestling Twitter. We were not tweeting tonight. I mean, I'm really not feeling it during SmackDown Live or Monday Night Raw or any week. But we do tweet. We do comment on breaking news stories on there. You get, of course, notifications every time that I upload on there as well. So great place to follow along with the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel is on Twitter. The handle is rWrestlingENT. So make sure to go check it out, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going straight into your SmackDown Live review. And the show started off here tonight with the Yes Man, Daniel Bryan. And of course, I'm going to play this segment here for you guys very shortly, but just to give you a brief synopsis of what happened during this segment, I enjoyed the hell out of this segment. And it's because the intensity that Daniel Bryan showed. When they let Daniel Bryan go out there and cut a promo and be that baby face that he's so good at being, there's no way you just can't get behind what Daniel Bryan is saying. And here tonight, he vowed to become WWE Champion. Big Cass came out and cut a promo, and this was the only weak part of this segment, realistically, because Big Cass kind of lingered on here, and he just kept saying, and it had no impact. And that's one thing I want to actually point out here tonight. The London crowd, I mean, when we usually come to London, it is lively. But there were certain parts of this show here tonight where the London crowd just did not react. They just did not react. I mean, clearly when Daniel Bryan was in the ring, they were awake, and especially since it was the opening part of the show. But there were certain parts where I was like, oh my God, I expected them to wake up. I expected them to wake up, but that was also the case during Monday Night Raw. But Monday Night Raw, I understand it. Monday Night Raw wasn't really putting anything in front of your eyes that was like, oh my god, I need to see this. Monday Night Raw was garbage last night. But here tonight, they put on AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and there was one point where the announcers, they were putting all this emphasis because Shinsuke, he hit a Kinshasa. It didn't really look like a Kinshasa, and maybe that's why it looked more like one of his average knees. But the announcers were calling it a Kinshasa. It was like this impactful moment in the matchup, and it didn't really come across as such because of the fact that the crowd didn't really react to it. But that is besides the point because we're talking about the opening segment here. And as far as the attack that Daniel Bryan did on Big Cass, I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of that because coming out of that loss last week from Rusev, it really looked like Daniel Bryan was down, and a lot of people were calling it doom and gloom for Daniel Bryan. I found that absolutely ridiculous, and I addressed this on Behind the Mic very shortly because we did go back and talk about last week's SmackDown. Of course, there was no SmackDown Live review because we were out watching Infinity War, and I mentioned that as well on Behind the Mic. But, of course, SmackDown Live, Daniel Bryan was put down last week, and this week he was right back on it. He was right back on it, and he came back. He took down Big Cass, and this came across as more Big Cass punishment. And Big Cass clearly in hot water he's been over in the past couple weeks, apparently, because back in that segment where Big Cass was attacking that midget, that segment was awful to begin with. But Big Cass, something so minor, he insisted and he asked like multiple people in the back until he finally went over their heads and everybody told him no. He went to Vince McMahon and he wanted to get as much heel heat during that segment as he could on himself. So he wanted to get down on the ground and ground and pound the midget. Everybody who he went to, Vince McMahon, all the creative writers, they shot him down. And clearly you go back and watch that segment on live SmackDown Live television and Big Cass, he still gets down despite being denied, as the news report says, and he grounds and pounds the midget despite the fact that everybody denied him. Everybody denied him. Now, your Vince McMahon is always talking about going, grab the brass ring, reach for the opportunity, do what you must to get yourself over. And clearly that's what Big Cass was doing, but that's something so minor. That's the way I view it. That's something so minor. Why would you want to put heat on the line to do something so minor that at the end of the day isn't going to realistically get you over? It's not something huge that you're doing. So, this got Big Cass a lot of heel heat, and that's apparently the reason why the matchup with Daniel Bryan at Backlash was short and he tapped out so quickly. That's the reason he was off of SmackDown Live television last week, and that could have possibly the added punishment this week as well. Daniel Bryan beat the crap out of Big Cass, and Big Cass, being the big guy that he is, had no type of retaliation, and next week he's been announced in a matchup with Samoa Joe where I do not see him winning at all. I see Samoa Joe destroying him, especially considering the fact that he has a knee injury. So Samoa Joe's going to win because of that fact as well, but he's also going to win probably because of the fact that WWE right now, after what Big Cass did, he disobeyed their orders, and rightfully so. It looks like they're going to put Big Cass into the ground, and that's not something I necessarily disagree with because I wouldn't have pushed Big Cass to the moon so soon anyways. Putting him in a feud with Daniel Bryan, that's a big honor. That's a big honor, and I don't think Big Cass is at that level at all yet. I didn't think back when Big Cass split up from Enzo that he was ready to be a single star. Still don't think so. Still hasn't proved himself to me, and the matchup at Backlash certainly did nothing to change that. So the fact that he has heel heat, not a good situation for Big Cass whatsoever, but here was the promo that both Big Cass and Daniel Bryan cut. Daniel Bryan puts Big Cass in his place here tonight on SmackDown Live television, live in front, of course, of the UK audience in the O2 Arena to start off the show. Here you go.
When I came back, I was just happy to be back. Happy to be back doing what I love. But now, it's not enough to be back. I don't want to just be back. I want to be on top. And And I know that it's going to be a fight, and it's going to be a climb, and I'm going to have to scratch and claw and fight every step of the way. But before all is said and done, I will become the WWE champion.
And you don't know how fired up that got me. And you just look at the look on Renee Young's face, and she's amped up. That's how you know it's good.
You run your mouth, and I am sick of it. Your loss to Rusev was your first major setback since returning to the WWE.
I hate how slow he says that.
I couldn't disagree anymore. I was your first major setback when you returned here to the WWE. I'm the reason you lost to Rusev. I'm the reason you're gonna keep losing, because I will ensure you never, ever achieve your dreams and aspirations here in WWE again. And at Backlash, did I lose? Yes, I'm man enough to admit that I lost, but I mean, I didn't tap out because I was in pain. I tapped out because I wanted to get out of the hold quick so I can get right back up and beat the holy
That's
hell
an idiotic
out of
line
you
right
again.
there. You will lose the match just so you can beat him up more. Why don't you get out of the hold?
What I did, I beat you from
Or at least
pillar to
try.
post. I beat you down just like I'm gonna keep beating you down, because you're not gonna be able to go anywhere in the WWE without a 7-foot shadow following you around. Is Daniel Bryan a loser? Yes. And should Daniel Bryan take his ball, go home, be a stay-at-home father, and let Bree wear the pants in your family? The answer? Oh, yes!
Overly annoying.
Cass is attempting to intimidate Daniel Bryan.
So Cass stepped in the ring, and he started to do the yes, and Daniel Bryan, like a ball of fire. And I love the intensity and everything that Daniel Bryan does. You know this guy's amped when he's in there, and you feel it, and you're rooting for this guy. And that's what I love about Daniel Bryan as a babyface. There's just so many things Daniel Bryan says right. Picture perfect babyface. Roman Reigns needs to sit down in a class and take notes from Daniel Bryan on how to be a babyface. Not even then will Roman Reigns be over, because nothing's going to get the guy over. But that is besides the point. Of course, Daniel Bryan, he starts hitting Big Cass with a series of forearms, starts attacking the leg, and he gets the leg caught up on the rope, starts kicking the crap out of the leg there. Then the referees get in, and the amount of boos that pour in, the referees get in, try to separate Daniel Bryan. So Daniel Bryan gets out of the ring, takes Big Cass's leg, and he rams it against the ring post as well. So I mean, a lot of intensity, a lot of aggression from Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan, of course, injured the knee. That's the story they were telling you tonight. He injured the knee of Big Cass, and that's definitely going to play a factor into the matchup between Big Cass and Samoa Joe that has been announced for next week. That right there is for sure. So I enjoyed this opening segment. I actually enjoyed the hell out of this opening segment, because I enjoy the hell out of any time that Daniel Bryan is in the ring. There's no doubt about that. Big Cass, I mean, this feud between Daniel Bryan and Big Cass will continue, but you know what? I don't really mind. I don't really mind it. And I'm not sure, but is Daniel... No, I sound ridiculous. I was about to ask if Daniel Bryan is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I sound like a absolute fool. I really, really do. Because Daniel Bryan got beat last week. That's very notable. He got beat by Rusev. I sound ridiculous. But excuse me. Either way, we move on here to save the embarrassment to the New Day versus, of course, as my phone rings a little bit. Either way, we move on to the New Day versus The Bar. And this was actually a very good tag team matchup. This is the caliber of tag team matchup that I like to see on Monday Night Raw, or excuse me, on SmackDown Live. This is the quality of tag team match that I like to see. I hate seeing those thrown together tag team matches between all the main event guys. It comes across as absolutely ridiculous, and I love it when tag teams go out there and do what they do best, and that is tag team wrestling. That's exactly what we saw here tonight, and it was a very good matchup. But either way, it was the result that mattered the most here, because clearly WWE, they were rooting to get the New Day the victory here, because it's going to be Big E. It's going to be Big E, and Big E clearly is the breakout star in the New Day whenever WWE decides to eventually split them up. And I feel like I was thinking about that during this matchup, and I'm like, I mean, you can split the New Day up, and these guys would flourish, especially Big E, on their own. But what I think is, like, that'd be such a blow to the tag team division. I don't know. Like, the New Day, they're such a part of the tag team division. They're a notable team in that tag team division. But they've done it all. They've done it all. And if there's a time to split them up, I mean, giving Big E the Money in the Bank briefcase, as has been rumored, I mean, that wouldn't be the worst idea. That wouldn't be the worst idea. So the New Day did win this matchup here tonight. A lot of great spots in this matchup. If we were to see this matchup on pay-per-view, I think series between Cesaro and Sheamus the Bar and the New Day on pay-per-view, like what we've seen between the Usos and the New Day last year, I mean, that would be a good one. But I don't think that's what we're hinting at here. Either way, the New Day did get the victory, and clearly it will be Big E. I'd be surprised if they threw an Xavier Kofi in there. Big E's really the only name that you can throw in there out of any of these tag teams that you'd really be like, oh, he could win it. He can win it, because Big E's clearly the guy who you look at him, and you know WWE, whenever the New Day breaks up, Vince is getting behind that guy. Vince is getting behind that guy. That guy is getting a push. That's what you see when you see Big E. Big E is Big E. No doubt about that. And of course, the New Day did win this matchup. Did they hit the big ending? I'm not even sure what the hell they hit, but the New Day did win this matchup here tonight, and they will be moving on to Money in the Bank. What team member that is, I mean, it makes sense to do the New Day, because Cesaro and Sheamus, you were to do that, and that'd be a whole conflict in and of itself, because Cesaro or Sheamus, who do you choose? Those guys are more selfless than anything. So, or they're more egotistical. They're more worried about themselves than anything. So that would have been a bit more complicated of a situation. But I would have put Cesaro in there as well. I mean, it would have been predictable that Cesaro's not going to win, but Cesaro's a great singles competitor in his own right. Fantastic. Probably one of the pound-for-pound best guys in that ring. He's one of the best in that ring. He's fantastic as Cesaro. And the fact that he's been stuck and he's found his niche in a tag team is really disappointing, but I mean, that's just the case there. Either way, we get a backstage vignette for the Bludgeon Brothers, who are going to apparently put the other Blue Brand tag teams on notice, and they have been waiting, but time is up. SmackDown General Manager Paige is backstage on the phone with Carmella, and she says Carmella cannot have a horse-drawn carriage for her celebration tonight. She lets Carmella go as Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville walk in. Rose says Paige banning Deville from ringside last week didn't work because she won and is now going to Money in the Bank. And this, I just found this absolutely illogical. Paige says that last week wasn't a qualifying matchup, even though they even put Mandy Rose in the goddamn graphic. This was some on-the-spot booking, but you know what? It actually benefited, because this leads to Paige making Deville versus Rose versus Becky Lynch in a triple threat match, and that would be the qualifier here tonight, clearly pitting Deville and Sonya, that's ridiculous. Deville and Rose, sorry if I'm tired after this show, but Deville and Rose against each other, they pit them against each other, and that was the storyline that they play right there a little bit, with Paige putting her Absolution buddies against each other and being the babyface general manager. She wishes them good luck, and they walk off, not happy about having to go against each other. But this is better, because I was like, oh my god, WWE really giving Becky Lynch the shaft. You're not even going to put her in the Money in the Bank match over Mandy Rose. And the fact that Mandy Rose beat Becky Lynch last week is an embarrassment in its own right, but at least it doesn't mean anything. Believe me, that's a terrible 50-50 booking right there. That's 50-50 booking at its worst, no doubt about it, because you want to give Mandy of course, the rub from Becky Lynch last week, but she tapped out to Becky in the triple threat this week. So 50-50 booking at its damnedest, ladies and gentlemen. But either way, Renee Young that is, was backstage with AJ Styles asking him about tonight's main event. AJ says everyone will be entertained no matter what stipulation he chooses, except for the con artist. Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ goes on and says Nakamura cannot beat him in the house that he built. And I don't know, but during that segment, there was like a corny-ass little joke by Renee Young. And she was like, is that the stipulation where the referee dresses up as Elvis? And AJ just had no idea what the hell to say to that. Bro, that was ridiculous. But speaking of something that was not ridiculous, speaking of something that is very, very amazing on SmackDown Live, that was the debut of Andrade Cien Almas, El Idolo, Andrade Cien Almas. And this is going to be big. This is going to be big on SmackDown Live if WWE decides to make it big. Hopefully they don't keep this guy off of television forever. Hopefully they don't pull a Ty Dillinger. This is your next big thing. This is your next big heel on SmackDown Live. Do not mistake it. And especially with Zelina Vega by his side, Andrade Cien Almas is destined to do big things. He went against some jobber named Jake Constantino here tonight, and he showed the aggression that we know Andrade Cien Almas is capable of. When it comes to what this guy is going to do in the ring, you do not even have to question the amount of things that we are going to see in this. Oh my, I can't even speak. I'm so excited just talking and thinking about what we're going to see within Andrade Cien Almas' skill set. The amount of talent that's on SmackDown Live. I mean, when he was announced in the Superstar Shakeup, definitely I went over that about how the amount of talent that he has to face. But just thinking, it's Andrade Cien Almas versus AJ Styles, Andrade Cien Almas versus Joe, versus Orton, versus Nakamura, versus whoever the hell else is on SmackDown Live. I can't even think right now. The excitement levels are so amazing. Versus Daniel Bryan. Oh my god. That sounds amazing, bro. Hoof. But that is besides the point. Andrade Cien Almas did debut here tonight, and Zelina Vega immediately took the mic after the matchup. She got behind the mic. Oh, go check out Behind the Mic, episode number 63, uploaded just yesterday, Monday morning. Either way, Zelina Vega got behind the mic, and she says that this is SmackDown, but they were expecting more. She says Almas finally comes to SmackDown after the anticipation, and they get this pathetic opponent. She knocks the locker room and says they came to SmackDown to take over, and I like it. I like it a lot. Hopefully WWE positions these two folks in a vast majority, or a great role that they can take advantage of. I mean, Jeff Hardy is your United States champion. Oh my god, we didn't even see Jeff Hardy this week. And I like that. Revolving door. That's how you got to have it on SmackDown Live as a talent. You filter in some talent this week, you leave out some talent the next week, because you're not going to fit all the talent on the show every single week. And Jeff Hardy was not used this week. The United States Championship scene, Randy Orton, was not used this week, and that's fine. We'll see them next week. And then the next week you'll leave off, minor segment with the women. You'll leave them off, and you'll only display the championship situation. And then the week after that, you'll leave off the tag teams. And then the week after that, maybe a Daniel Bryan won't be on SmackDown Live, or an AJ Styles won't be on SmackDown Live, but a Samoa Joe will, and a Andrade will. So that's just the way you got to filter your talent. It's the way you got to filter your talent. A revolving door. No Jeff Hardy this week, but imagine that. Andrade Cien Almas versus Jeff Hardy. That is a matchup I want to see. Andrade Cien Almas is going to be capturing United States Championship gold quickly, if that's what you want to do right there. I love it. I absolutely adore it. But there was a backstage segment with Rusev, Aiden English, and unfortunately Lana. It sounds like English arranged for Rusev to have his own dressing room. And it looks, after this segment, like WWE, they teased it one week, and Lana was like, you got to get rid of Aiden English. They teased that. It looks like this week they're all on the same page. They're going to refrain, and thank God for this, they're going to refrain from removing Aiden English from the Rusev Day act, because even teasing that was just absolutely asinine stuff on SmackDown Live. Here tonight, Lana didn't even mention it. Rusev says it's not bad, but it's not bad, but the guy who beat Daniel Bryan last week deserves better. English disses London and goes to give a sneak peek of the song he has plans for Money in the Bank. But Lana walks in all smiles. She tells Aiden to save his beautiful voice because he will soon have another ravishing song to sing. She reveals that she has a Money in the Bank qualifying match against Billie Kay for next week's SmackDown. That sounds terrible. But Lana says she will crush Billie, and then they will go to be the first couple to hold briefcases. Rusev says they will then rule SmackDown Live together. English belts out a Rusev Day tune as Lana and Rusev pose. So that was that segment. Rusev doing some big things on SmackDown Live, much bigger than I expected WWE to give him. He beat Daniel Bryan last week. I'm happy. I am happy. But we move on here. I didn't even want to cover this segment because Carmella, she started off all right. She actually started off pretty decent, but she's just become cringeworthy and overly annoying, and especially where you lose me is you can be overly annoying and you can push the limits of being a heel instead of being a heel that's actually doing some things to get actual heel heat. You can push the limits and be more annoying than being an actual heel. But where you lose me is when you don't perform in the ring. And no doubt about it, the matchup we've seen between Carmella and Charlotte at the Backlash pay-per-view, Carmella did not perform in the ring. So that's where she lost me. And tonight's promo that she cut here came off as overly annoying. And WWE did way too much here for this Royal Melibration is what they were calling it. Absolutely cringeworthy name, absolutely cringeworthy segment, and absolutely asinine booking of your SmackDown Women's Champion. I cannot wait till the title is off of Carmella, and that's going to be sooner rather than later because here tonight it was announced that Asuka would be Carmella's challenger going into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And there's no way that Asuka can lose, right? Please tell me that Asuka's not going to lose to Carmella. I mean, Charlotte lost to Carmella clean after beating Asuka at WrestleMania, which is Asuka's only loss. So does that mean that Carmella can beat Asuka? I hope not. I hope not. But here's the segment here tonight. Asuka crashes Carmella's Royal Melibration.
Oh, yay! Oh, yay! London proudly announces the arrival of the fair princess from the Isle of Staten, the very same princess who defeated Charlotte Flair twice to become your esteemed SmackDown champion of all women. May God ignore the Queen.
Oh my God.
And may God
This is
save
awful.
Carmella.
I'm cringing as we speak, and three guys dressed in like British officer uniform or some crap like that. They have the SmackDown Women's Championship on like
Fears in everything. This is the pomp and circumstance befitting of the
They bring out the SmackDown Women's
This is
Championship
incredible. We have
on like a
never
pillow.
had a town crier on SmackDown ever before. I have it on good authority. My sources told me Meghan Markle's dad is here.
And Carmella comes out. Skipping along here. Copyright music.
Of Staten Island, and I command each and every one of you to bow down before me. I said bow down. You remind me of every single woman on the SmackDown roster. Because none of you think I'm good enough.
You're not good enough.
None of you think I deserve to be champion.
You don't deserve to be champion.
Well, guess what? Not so Great Britain. Mella is money.
Overly annoying.
And Mella is champion.
Not for long.
So that makes me better than each and every one of you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you.
You're holding a worthless title.
You, sir, you're not quite following here. Let me try to speak your language. I'm better than you.
Oh, God.
I'm better than everyone. I'm better than Charlotte Flair. I'm better than Becky Lynch. I'm better than Sasha Banks. I'm better than Alexa Bliss. I'm better than Nia Jax. I'm better than Ronda Rousey. I actually have a royal
That's a great statement.
proclamation of my own.
So Paige
I am
came out.
here to announce your opponent for Money in the Bank. Whoa. Stop right there, Paige. Whoa. I'm not defending my title at Money in the Bank. I'm not defending my title. Whoa. Yes, you are going to put your title online at Money in the Bank. And it's going to be this woman.
So Asuka came out, and thank God for that. It looks like Carmella will have a short title a short title reign, and thank God for that, because, I mean, if you mean to tell me that Carmella is going to beat Asuka, or she's somehow going to escape a matchup with Asuka with her SmackDown Women's Championship intact, you are one of the most ridiculous fools that I have ever heard. That is not something I want to see whatsoever in any capacity, and it doesn't look like that is going to be the case, because Mella is not money, and Asuka needs some momentum on her belt, and there's no doubt about it. Winning the SmackDown Women's Championship is that momentum. The only thing that worries me about this is that Asuka holding the SmackDown Women's Championship kind of keeps the title a little bit hostage, because I don't want to see Asuka losing. Not at all. But I mean, I want to see the likes of Becky Lynch be able to capture the SmackDown Women's Championship. The likes of maybe even a Peyton Royce capturing the SmackDown Live Women's Championship and keeping that title on Asuka kind of doesn't make that a possibility. But either way, having Asuka as your SmackDown Women's Championship, or SmackDown Women's Champion, is far superior to having the overly annoying, not able to compete in the ring Carmella holding your SmackDown Women's Championship. I mean, look at the matches we're going to get. If Asuka holds the title until Survivor Series, Ronda Rousey is going to be undoubtedly the Raw Women's Champion by then. It's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Asuka. You move Asuka into SummerSlam with the SmackDown Women's Championship, and you're looking at Charlotte versus Asuka. You're also looking at the possibilities of title defenses at pay-per-views like Extreme Rules, Asuka versus Becky Lynch. You're also looking at the possibility of Asuka versus Naomi. A lot of great matches present themselves there. I mean, I like it a lot. And if WWE plays their cards right, they can have a great champion on their hands. They can put some actual prestige under that SmackDown Women's Championship, which under Carmella, I don't care how many royal celebrations you throw, is absolutely a worthless pile of garbage. No doubt about that. Either way, we move on to a Money in the Bank qualifying matchup. It was Becky Lynch versus Sonya Deville versus Mandy Rose. This matchup was just overly unsubstantial. I mean, a waste of time. Probably one of the worst aspects besides that celebration of SmackDown Live here tonight, which I'll give it to them, was a decent show. No doubt about that. And Becky Lynch, the right winner came out the victor here tonight. Of course, last week I thought Mandy Rose beat Becky Lynch in a qualifying matchup. That was not the case. If it's not a triple threat, it's not a qualifying matchup, right? That's their logic, but whatever. Becky Lynch won the matchup here tonight. She made Mandy Rose tap out with the disarmor. Overly irrelevant, overly garbage. They announced Samoa Joe versus Big Cass for next week. And we moved on to what was undoubtedly the highlight of the matchup. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And despite all the complaints I had about this matchup watering down, this matchup, every matchup, surprisingly enough, that these guys have had since WrestleMania has gotten better. And this matchup that we saw here tonight, where they were even interrupted by commercials and stuff like that, and realistically only went like 15 minutes or like 12 minutes. Well, I don't know how much time we saw on TV. I really wasn't keeping track, but this matchup was better than what we seen at WrestleMania, and it's simply because the pace was a lot faster, and especially when you're breaking it down on SmackDown Live, you got to go quicker with that pace. You got to go snapping of the finger with that pace because you're on that time limit. The show does not have any overrun. You got to be done by 10 o'clock, and it like put a fire under these guys, and I loved it. I absolutely loved what they did. It was reversal after reversal again here tonight. And the ending, oh my God, I absolutely loved the ending because it's just that beautiful old school heel, Eddie Guerrero, I lie, I cheat, I steal type mentality. And I mean, it's just the dirtiest trick in the book. The oldest trick in the book while you're at it can also be attributed. Shinsuke Nakamura, the same spot happened where AJ Styles, he hit the phenomenal forearm, or tried to hit the phenomenal forearm, but he almost went into the referee, and the referee was ducking, and as the referee was ducking, he didn't catch sight of the fact that Shinsuke Nakamura had started to pretend like AJ Styles had hit him in the balls. So the referee's like, did you just hit him in the balls? Because Shinsuke Nakamura was selling the blow like if he just got hit in the balls. So old school. I love it. So the referee's like, did you hit him in the balls? Do I need to disqualify you? AJ's trying to explain no. Meanwhile, Nakamura, forearm to the back of the neck, exploder suplex, and a Kinshasa. AJ Styles is put out 1, 2, 3. Brilliant. Brilliant. Out of all the matches that they've had so far, that is the best finish. And if Nakamura were to win the WWE Championship and Money in the Bank, this matchup were never to happen, and that was the finish, and that's how Nakamura won the WWE Championship, that's fantastic. That's so fantastic. I love that. I absolutely love that. But of course, that was given away here tonight on SmackDown Live, so I doubt that will be the finish at Money in the Bank. But no doubt about it, that's great. That was great. And that was your main event here tonight on SmackDown Live. Very good main event. Very good main event and a very decent edition of SmackDown Live. But there is no denying that, I mean, this matchup made no sense. There's no reason for this matchup to have been happening, and it happened on our televisions regardless. What the stipulation that Nakamura will choose will be, I don't know. I don't know I can't really predict what's going through the mind of a heel like Shinsuke Nakamura at this stage in the game. What type of matchup would favor Nakamura? I hope he chooses an Iron Man matchup, but quite frankly, an Iron Man matchup is more of a babyface concept. You know what? If you think you can beat me, why don't we go an hour in the ring or 30 minutes in the ring, a test of ultimate strength? That's more of a babyface concept if you choose an Iron Man matchup. I'm thinking maybe Nakamura is going to choose last man standing. I'm not sure, but it can be anything realistically. Steel cage, last man standing, because if it's in a steel cage, I feel like that's a heel concept. If you're in a steel cage, you can just escape the cage. So I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for what you can do, what the stipulations can be. It's going to be interesting. I like it. I like what we saw here tonight as far as in-ring goes, but when are you not going to watch a matchup between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura and not be impressed from what you see in ring? Well, I guess WrestleMania, but that is besides the point. And for now, that's all. That is all right here on your SmackDown Live review. I hope you enjoyed each and every single thing that you've heard here on your SmackDown Live review for the date of April, I'm a whole month behind, May 15th, 2018, because for now that is going to be all right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Of course, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, and of course, make sure to go check out the Twitter account of the same name and support the content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, because for now, this has been Joel Perez of Ringside Wrestling Entertainment, and for now, I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I will see you all next time, right here on Ringside Wrestling.